Hey everybody, this is a follow-up episode if you watched the previous episode showing how to make a squib out of a garden hose sprayer. Very affordable, very safe squib where blood kind of blows out of either the body or out of the back of the head. But this episode I'm showing how to do the digital cleanup in After Effects, showing how to basically do gun flare, how to remove the holes that are on the shirt and on the head, and how to do kind of a blowback look with on the gun. Also showing how to make look like a shell is ejecting out of the Glock here that we're using with this effect. Keep in mind that these are fake guns. These are airsoft guns that have been disabled. Even an airsoft gun can be a little bit dangerous if you have one of the little airsoft pellets loaded inside the gun and you shoot somebody in the eye. That can be dangerous. So I've disabled these guns completely so they will not shoot. They have no capability of shooting of any sort of projectile out of them. And second of all, I just recommend don't using real guns for this at all. That can be very dangerous. You can also cause if you're shooting something like this in public, that can draw attention where police can be involved and stuff like that. So I just recommend if you're doing this type of filmmaking with guns, that you do it the proper way, that you contact local authorities, you get permission to shoot in specific locations, and you contact the authorities and let them know if there are going to be fake weapons on set. And you just make sure that's all taken care of before you actually start shooting to avoid any sort of situation. With that being said, let's get started on the digital effects. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how to do this digital fixes here, where we're going to make the gun. We got a gun here that obviously has like an orange tip. I've had some people say that they spray paint these black. You're not supposed to do that, because if you're out in the public with one of these airsoft guns, that's how police recognize a gun that is an airsoft gun and not a real Glock, is it has an orange tip. But if you're doing it for movies, you can get rid of it digitally. Like I said, some people have done painting over it, which is not recommended. There are some guns, you can find them. Some of these airsoft guns you can find that do not have the orange tips. But yeah, so just be really careful if you're doing this. Disclaimer, you don't want to get shot by a policeman or anything else. So you want to be careful, once again, what you're doing, and not use real weapons with this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm showing you this, is how to do this safely. It's not getting hurt doing it. And one of those ways is not using a real gun, using a fake prop gun. So what I've got here on my timeline is I've got two instances of being shot here. One time the gun is shooting here, it goes off, boom. And we're going to do gun flare. We're going to actually show the blowback of the gun as well. We're going to do that in After Effects, and we're going to do a little bit of gun flare and smoke and a couple other things to make that gun look like it's actually going off. The other thing is going to be hiding this little slit in the shirt right there and making it appear once the blood pops out. So right here, so we got the gun that's being shot, and then and we'll edit that tighter once we get once we get the effects. And I'm leaving a little bit excess here so we can edit it down tighter later on. But now the other shot that I've got here that we're going to work on is the gun lifting up, shooting, and then the back of the head blowing out right there with the squib going out the back. We're going to show you how to digitally remove the bullet wound off the head there for the time. And I did this white intentionally so you could see the blood spraying against the wall. If you want this to be effective, usually either especially if the blood sprays out the back, if you have backlight hitting the subject, that light will accent the blood and make it very, very visible. And also, I would recommend doing it against something. If it works within the movie, you can do it against something where you're going to see it splatter against the wall. Will be more effective than just seeing kind of the blood splatter out to nothingness. But this makes it really effective where you see the blood hit the wall behind. So that's just another recommendation. It just really depends on what shot you're doing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this footage over to After Effects here. I'm going to highlight, this is in Premiere here. I'm going to hold down Option and select all the video here. I like to keep my original video intact, so I'm going to hold down Option and drag it up, and it will duplicate just the video that I've got selected right there. And these are the actual files that we're going to be sending to After Effects, one at a time here to work on on each one. Let's work on getting rid of that hole in the shirt first. Then we're going to go to the gun and work on that as well. So I'm going to just select this clip right here. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say replace with After Effects composition. I like making each one its own individual comp inside of After Effects. I don't like sending it all over so it's all in one timeline, because I like to edit them as individual clips. So that's my preference. So we're going to right click on this, say replace with After Effects composition. After Effects will open, and we will remove that little cut on the shirt. It'll open up After Effects here, and I'm going to save this project. I'm just going to do all 4 effects here in After Effects in the same project. So now I'm going to name this. We're just going to call it Gun Squib Effects for After Effects, and we're going to save that. So it sent over that timeline over here, just that edited portion of the clip that I sent over from Premiere. So it doesn't bring over the entire clip, just the portion of the clip that you want to work, that you want to do effects on. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate my layer right here. We're going to make a freeze frame layer that's going to be a shirt patch that we're going to put right over that right there. So I'm going to do Command D. I'm on a Mac. If it's a PC, it's Control D. And I'm going to rename these. I'm going to select the bottom layer. We're going to call this plate, which is just the original background here. Then I'm going to select the top, and I'm going to call this shirt patch or something. So shirt patch. I'm going to right click on this top one here, and we're going to freeze frame it. I'm going to go up to time, and we're going to go freeze frame. So it just holds perfectly still and is never moving. So now this, if I play through it, nothing happens because it's freeze framed. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to zoom up to this. I'm going to hold down Option and put my mouse right over the patch and zoom. On a PC, this would be Alt. Hold down Alt and zoom with your mouse up to that little patch right there. You can see kind of now the agave kind of oozing through there. So we're going to fix this up a little bit and make our own little patch there to put over the top of this. So I'm probably going to grab this patch, I'm guessing like right down here, and we're going to cover this up here. So I'm going to grab that patch below it. And this is just on the shirt patch, which is, I'm not doing anything to the plate layer below it. I'm going to go up and choose the pen tool. And with that layer selected, I'm going to click down here and grab this entire square right here. Let's go all the way on the outside there, go all the way down to the bottom, and make this big, large patch right there. All right, so now what we've got is we've got that square that's over the plate below it here. And on the very first frame, it happens to match up with it. But I'm going to hit my letter V, which chooses my arrow tool, or go up to the top left-hand corner instead of my selection tool. V will choose that arrow tool. So now you can see that it's selected up there. But I'm gonna grab this here, this object, and I'm going to drag it up and kind of lay it over the other patch up here and try to kind of get that. But once we get that kind of lined up there, that actually looks pretty good right about there. I noticed like right here, the pocket here, that line is kind of missing because I got the patch over it. We're gonna smooth this out and make it look blend in pretty well here. But I probably just want to get rid of this portion right here, mask that off there, so you can see the pocket edge right there. But first of all, let's go to mask here, and we're going to go to mask, and we're going to arrow this down this layer. We're going to go to mask feather here, and we're going to soften the edges so that blends in a little bit. And we're just going to soften this by about 13 pixels. It'll blend the hard edge in there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is bring this pocket back. So I'm going to do a new mask. On the same layer here, I'm going to go up and grab my pen tool, and we're going to do one mask right here. Try to ride the edge of that pocket line right there and cut that off right there. And now I'm going to go down to that mask 2, and we're going to subtract that. On the blend mode, we'll subtract it, and it will bring that pocket edge back there. So here it's cut out this portion, just left it, and then now this yellow line right there is subtracting that. So yeah, here what we've cut out on mask 1 is adding, and the bottom one we are subtracting. I'm going to feather that a little bit as well, just to soften the edge. There we go. And that looks pretty good. It looks like there's no hole in the shirt. Okay, so that's blended in pretty well there. But now look what happens when you start moving here. I'm going to go frame by frame. The patch is not moving with the shirt. So that's going to be an easy fix here. Let's turn this shirt patch off temporarily here. I'm going to hit the little eyeball right here and turn that off temporarily here. And we want to track this background here so we can attach the movement to the shirt patch. So I'm going to go up under our arrangement here, top right hand corner, and go under motion tracking, arrange for motion tracking. And I'm going to hit this little track motion right here. While the plate is selected, hit track motion. It'll bring up this little tracker here. We can grab this and drag it over to the shirt, move it over to the shirt. So we're going to get it right down on the patch there. Let's go right down on the bottom left-hand corner of that slit. That'll track really well right there. We can expand the outer edge here, which is the outer line is basically the distance this movement could be occurring in, and it's not moving all that much, so it should be fine. And then these are the pixels that it's going to track, and then that crosshair is the exact pixel it's going to try to lock onto. So we're going to press play and track that until the blood comes out here, and there it comes out. So let's see how it did it. It went past it and kind of lost track movement of it because it moved and changed so fast. But let's see if that tracked really well on the shirt there until it goes off. And it looks like that thing is tracking really well until the blood, that's as far as we need it, is like right there. So right there, the blood explodes, and that's all we need it, is just up to that portion right there. So I'm going to create a null. I'm going to go up to layer and do new null object. So we need to have something to attach that tracking data to. I'm going to hit edit target. Now that I've created the null, I'm going to hit edit target, and we're going to target that to the null. So I'm going to hit OK. And then you have to hit apply. Don't forget to hit apply and hit OK on the X and Y axis dimensions here. and now it has added that tracking data to the shirt. And you can see that null object, this big red square here, that is moving with that shirt and tracking really well until the shirt blows up, and then it goes kind of nuts. But that's all we need it for right there. It's just that first part, because then it disappears. So now we can get to the beginning, and we can turn this layer back on, turn the eyeball back on. Now we've got the shirt there. And now we are going to grab this parent link pick whip here, and we're going to grab this and drag it down to the null and attach it to the null. So now, starting at that frame, this thing will track, it will use the null's tracking information that's been added to the null to move that patch. So now look at this. Now that patch sticks to the shirt, and then when it blows up, it's still there, and we don't need it anymore. So we're going to make it go transparent. Like right here is where it's going to disappear. So we can actually do that by selecting this clip here and holding down Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and hitting our right bracket key. We'll do an out point right there, but that looks like it's one frame too late. So I'm going to page up to go to the previous frame, and we're going to do Option or Alt right bracket and do the out point right there. So now what happens is it turns off immediately after this frame. I'll page down, and now it's gone right when the bullet hole starts. So now you can see that the patch is there, and then boom, the bullet goes off, and then the shirt patch cuts off, and it goes invisible. So now it's no longer there. So let's see what this looks like all together. Going to play through that. Let's watch the shirt here. There you go. So there's no hole in the patch anymore. There's no hole in the shirt anymore until the blood pops open and explodes, and boom, and now you have the hole in the shirt. So I'm going to save that there. Command S or Control S on a PC would save that. I'm going to do several different comps in After Effects here. So I'm going to rename this comp here Shirt Squib. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the head and make the bullet hole disappear in the head. So let's go back to Premiere. And if you send this over from After Effects like that, you've got the clip that it's referencing here in After Effects. Now it's referencing that clip inside of After Effects, but it's inside of Premiere now. That acts as a video clip that is referencing the clip in After Effects. I'm going to move over to this one here, the headshot here. And we're going to right click on this one just alone here. With this project open in After Effects, it's going to add it to this project here. Instead of starting a new project, it'll add a new composition or timeline. By right clicking and doing a replace with After Effects composition, it brought this over, added the squib, the head squib. I'm going to call this headshot. Right there. That's what that timeline is going to be called. I got my shirt squib and my headshot here, and we're going to work on the headshot here. So one thing that I could do here to start off with, let's go under Effects. So under the Effects search here, we're going to type in Sharpen, and I'm just going to sharpen this a little bit because it's out of focus. Normally you wouldn't need to do this, but it's bugging me, so I'm going to do it. I probably just should have reshot it. I'm so lazy. All right, so now I'm going to grab the Sharpen, and we're going to drag that. And you see that looks a little bit better. It just takes that out of focus shot and just makes it look a little bit more in focus. It's not great, but that's better than nothing there. So here's before, there's after. If you look really close, let's zoom up on the face here and look at the Sharpen when it's turned on and off. See, it just does a little bit of Sharpen there. It doesn't make it perfect, but it's a little bit better where now I feel better about it. All right, so we're going to do the same thing to the head here with that dot disappearing, but there's not as much movement with the head, but there's still a little bit of movement. So notice how the head kind of dips down and boom, then shoots. So what I'm going to do here is same thing. I'm going to duplicate this layer here, Command D or Control D, but I'm going to select the bottom, hit Return on the bottom, and we're going to call this Plate. And then the top one, I'm going to call it Head Hole, the hole in the head. There we go, which is that little item right there. So we've got the head hole going there, and now we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to get the very beginning of the timeline here, and I'm going to right click and say time, and we're going to freeze frame that. So it's made a freeze frame of this top layer here, and now we can cut out a different portion of the head and put over the top of that hole there. So I'm going to hold Option and zoom up to that head hole right there, and we're going to grab a little chunk of skin maybe over here to the right or maybe here to the left, and we're going to move it over the top of that hole there. So let's grab our pen, and we're going to, instead of pen, let's do a circle. We'll do an ellipse tool here and do a shape mask right here. And we're going to do it just a little bit bigger than the red hole that's in. Like I said, if you have somebody doing a makeup for you, this will look a lot better. But now I've made that, and that's all that's left out of that image. If I turn off the bottom layer, you can see it just took a little portion of my head there. But with this layer selected, choose my arrow tool, my selection tool. We're going to grab that and just drag it over so it covers the hole right there. There we go. And the line lines up. My awesome wrinkled head there matches right up on that little line right there. So now we can feather that a little bit, F for feather, and we can drag this up maybe like 10 pixels right there will do. And that just softens the edges a little bit. So now we need to do the same thing. We need to track the bottom one. So I'm going to turn this top layer off, and we're going to track, I'm just going to track that dot right there, because that's we'll track the movement of the head there. So let's go under the motion tracking arrangement, hit track motion, brings up in the square here, move it up. We're going to move that up to put that right over that square there, make it as big as the hole, so it can have some kind of features to track if it's outside of that little blotch of red right there, and expand the distance that it can go. And now we'll press play. It won't need that much distance, but let's go ahead and press play. And there we go. And it tracked until the big head jerks and you get shot. So just enough time. So now as we page down, we can look at it as tracking right there till finally it's supposed to show up right there. Right there is where it's supposed to show up. So we're going to go up to layer, new, null, adds a null, and we're going to edit the target, and we're going to edit it to the null. So it adds that tracking data to the null. Hit OK, hit apply, and hit OK. And now it is connected. You see that red square that's connected to my head until I finally jerk my head really quickly there. But that's long enough there. So now we can turn the head hole back on, and we're going to pick whip that parent link it to the null there. And now as we move through this, let's deselect. And now you can see that skin patch is over my head. That hole's disappeared. That hole is no longer there. But now if we want that to go away so we can see the hole, now I'm going to, let's do like a 2-frame dissolve here. We're going to go to opacity of this layer here. You can hit the letter T, will bring the opacity up. Or you can just basically arrow this down like that, and that brings up all the attributes here. But I'm going to keyframe the opacity right here. I'm going to hit it. That puts one keyframe right there, and I'm going to page down twice, and we're going to make that disappear, pull that at 0, and it adds a different keyframe. At this first keyframe, it's 100. This keyframe, it's at 0 opacity. So it goes from boom, and you can see that hole up here in the head. Might work better to do it. Let's try 1 frame dissolve and see what that does instead of a 2 frames. And now it's not there, and boom, it's there. And either way works. So I think the 1 frame looks perfect there, where just suddenly the hole appears in the head there. So let's look at that now. So looking closely at the head here, no hole in the head, and boom. And there you go. Okay, so we've taken care of the shirt, we're taking care of the head, and now let's work on the gun. This is going to be kind of a big step working on the gun here, a little bit more advanced effort within After Effects here. Wow. All right, guys, that's it for now. In the episode 3, I'm going to be showing how to do the gun special effects with the flare, the blowback, and the smoke, and a couple other things. So be sure to watch episode 3, and thank you for watching Chin Fat.